What's going on, everyone? So, the Utah Jazz are good buddies, right? Danny Ainge. He was the guy that helped us get off of Russell Westbrook and helped us get to the conference finals not too long ago. And Utah is another potential trade partner that make a lot of sense for the Lakers, right? The Lakers have been linked and have been interested in guys like Collin Sexton and Walker Kessler, two guys that can make a ton of value as far as like what we need on this roster. It can make some sense for a potential trade. Getting a guy in Walker Kessler, he's a guy that can slot in as your starting center, gives you plenty of growth, potential upside. Worst case, I guess, right now could be your backup if you wanted to go that route. Otherwise, you can, like I said, put Kessler as your starter, go with a Anthony Davis at the 4, which I know a lot of people really want. I still think that more likely than not this year, they'll probably slot 80 at the 5 and have LeBron play the 4. But Kessler as a backup would be excellent, right? He'd be one of, if not the best options as far as what you could potentially get. He is shown all the tools and intangibles you want to see from a center at such a young age. I mean, he's young enough to have been drafted in this year's draft. I mean, he's the same age as Dalton Connect, right? So to get a guy like that who already has proven that he can play in the NBA and be a real factor on both the defensive side as well as the offensive side, I think would be an excellent acquisition for the Lakers, who do have a need at the center position. Also, he is incredibly cheap as far as, price goes, and you'd have him on a contract. Eventually, he's going to get up there in price, but at least for the moment, it would be rather easy to get. You could unload, a vet minimum guy and, maybe work something out, especially if you could get a Collin Sexton, I'm not super high on Sexton as like a starter, right? I know he's the price he's making like 18 and some change. So no, you probably would start him unless you could get somebody better. And if you end up trading D'Lo later on down the road, then it would make even more sense to maybe go with Collin Sexton. He could shoot, right? He is aggressive and can get to the basket. He can light it up at times. He can be a little inconsistent and a little frustrating at times. Like, you watch Collin Sexton, it's like one game you're like, dude, this guy's the best player ever. And then like the next game you're like, all right, this guy never needs to see the court again. So that could be a little frustrating at times, but I do think playing alongside LeBron, playing alongside AD, JJ Redick and his system, I do think Collin Sexton could really thrive and be a big impact guy. Again, we know that he's a guy that can go get buckets, but at least this season, until he really grasps the proper understanding for the game, and maybe again kind of learns from LeBron a little bit more, I would prefer him as your backup, but he would give you the defense. He would give you the point of attack. He would give you the athleticism out on the perimeter. It's a guy that can get out in transition, push the pace, do a lot. Those two guys as a pairing, I do think could go a very long way for the Lakers. I do think that those are two guys that the Lakers could easily get to as far as like trade price goes. And then also maybe even Utah, because they have the cap space, maybe you could work out something to where you can unload a couple guys, because the Lakers have been linked to guys like Gary Trent Jr. They've been linked to bringing back Spencer Dinwiddie, right? So maybe you could kind of do like a 4 for 2 or like a 5 for 2 type thing, free up your full taxpayer mid-level, free up a couple roster spots. So again, you could go get, say Gary Trent Jr., bring him in, go get a Spencer Dinwiddie, bring him in. So now you kind of addressed your center position, address some athleticism, shooting, just defense on the perimeter, right? Got essentially 3 guys in Collin Sexton, Spencer Dinwiddie, and Gary Trent Jr. So essentially you'd have, I know you could argue, well, not argue, Spencer Dinwiddie was on the Lakers roster, but what you could argue is that Spencer would be much better under JJ, because I believe JJ will slot Spencer Dinwiddie properly. One of my big problems, and I said this all season about Spencer Dinwiddie under Darvin Ham, is Darvin Ham utilized Spencer Dinwiddie terribly. He played him as if he was a 3-and-D wing when he's not. He is a point guard. His whole career, he's had success and built success and was getting paid pretty significantly because he was a quality point guard. He was a legit two-way point guard with athleticism, could get to the paint, could create for others, could shoot three, right? Do multiple things, right? Could he, because of his size, slot at the three on occasion? Sure. But his best utilization is as the point guard. It's not a coincidence that the only game he got the opportunity to be the point guard the whole game was his best game by far for the Lakers. So you could argue you're adding in Spencer Dinwiddie, who will be utilized correctly, which will give you value. You add in a legit 3-and-D guy that can just go get a bucket in Gary Trent. He's not like a DeMar DeRozan type level, but he is a guy that can. And it wasn't that long ago where he was like first in the league in like 30-point games. And so he's a guy that I do think could really, again, raise the ceiling a little bit. You add in a Walker Kessler, that raises the ceiling a little bit. Add in a Collin Sexton, raises the ceiling a little bit. So now all of a sudden, you kind of got this reshaping of the roster, and it's like you didn't really have to do too much. Question is what is the cost? Like, how much would it cost to get Walker Kessler? How much would it cost to get Collin Sexton? So, based on reports that have came out, as far as Walker Kessler goes, the Utah Jazz are looking for a first for him, which I get it, considering his age, his upside, his potential, how he's already shown he can have an impact on the basketball court. Does make sense that, they would want a first-round pick. So could the Lakers work something out? Because that 2027 pick is protected. Danny Ainge himself said publicly that he believed that the Lakers picks are the best value picks on the market because he believes that once LeBron and AD are done and this era is done, the Lakers are going to be terrible. So maybe you could use that 2027 pick as incentive, basically remove all restrictions. So basically it's an unprotected first. Maybe you could add another first, say the 2029 first round pick, throw in, a couple seconds or maybe like a pick swap. And I know that sounds like a lot, but you're getting a young center for now and the future. You're getting an athletic guard in Collin Sexton that could start or come off the bench for you. You'd also be able to free up enough to get your mid-level exception or taxpayer mid-level exception, which again could bring you a Gary Trent. And then on top of that, you'd free up another roster spot or two. Basically, all of the things that the Lakers need to solve, they could all solve at once. And then you'd still have D'Angelo Russell, Rui Hachimura, Jared Vanderbilt, Austin Reed, all these guys that if you wanted to, and the Lakers probably will still look, maybe you hit up the Nets and you go, hey, you wanted a first for Cam Johnson, right? And maybe you do D'Lo and I don't know, like D'Lo and Gabe Vincent and a first for Cam Johnson, right? Because at that point you'd have Spencer Dinwiddie and you'd have Collin Sexton. Maybe you go pick up a Cam Johnson. Maybe work it out to get Cam Johnson and Dorian Finney-Smith. And then now you just basically revamped your whole roster, right? Maybe you could do something where you go D'Lo and Rui with maybe Gabe Vincent for Cam Johnson and Dorian Finney-Smith. Right? If you could pull something like that off, maybe give up a first and like 2 seconds or a first and a pick swap, right? Because the Lakers have 3 pick swaps they could use. So maybe you send one to Utah, send one to the Nets, give up a first, give up another first, and then now you basically turned all of that into Collin Sexton, Spencer Dinwiddie, Dorian Finney-Smith, Cam Johnson, Walker Kessler, Gary Trent Jr. Alongside LeBron James, Anthony Davis, Austin Reeves, Max Christie. Like, that sounds like a pretty good roster to me. That now I could see that. Obviously, things have to shape up. We have to see what J.J. Redick looks like as a head coach. But going under the assumption that he's better than Darvin Ham was, we might actually be a legit team that is in contention. I mean, you'd be deep. You'd have scoring, you'd have shooting, you'd have big men, you'd have defensive wings, you'd have multiple guys that put the ball on the deck, go get a bucket, right? Now you start shaping out this roster rather nicely, right? And you plug in all your holes, right? Because Spencer Dinwiddie could be your star. Like, he could play the D'Lo role. He did it. We watched him do it for the Lakers, right? The game that he did. But if he got consistently was able to play that role, or again, you could go with Collin Sexton in the starting unit and have like Spencer Dinwiddie and Gary Trent Jr. off the bench with Max Christie, with Dalton Connect, with Walker Kessler, with Jared Vanderbilt. again, sounds pretty good to me, right? So your starting five could essentially be Sexton, Reeves, Johnson, LeBron, and AD, right? And then your bench could be probably Spence, Gary Trent Jr., Dorian Finney-Smith, Jared Vanderbilt, Walker Kessler. And then you'd still have, again, Max Christie, Dalton Connect, Christian Wood, unless they unload Christian Wood, Jackson Hayes. To me, your depth, you're versatile, you got size, you got wings, you got shooting, you got defense, you got basically everything you need to win. It's just, what does the health look like, right? Because last year was a disaster when it came to the health-wise. What does the coaching look like? And then what is the team just chemistry and the way that they go about the game? How does that work and unfold? Because that would be a much better team. You'd be much more athletic. You'd be much more versatile. You'd have much more depth. Even if you don't get like a Dorian Finney-Smith, you'd still be fine, right? Like if you could just get let's say just Cam Johnson, right? Like then, like I said, you still have the same starting five of Sexton, Reeves, Johnson, LeBron, and AD, and then you have Spence, Gary Trent, Max Christie, Connect, Vando, right? Like you're in good shape with Walker Kessler. I really like that. If they could pull that off, and now that we kind of know what the Jazz are looking for, kind of gives us a pretty good insight. So anyway, as always, this is a discussion. I pass a question on you. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. What do you think? How do you feel? What are your thoughts? Do you like the idea of bringing in Sexton, bringing in Kessler? Do you want to just get Kessler? Do you want to get both? Again, however you feel, whatever your thoughts are, pass a question on you. Let me know down in the comments below. That being said, if you haven't liked this video, hit that like button. Helps me a lot. It's me enjoy these types of videos, and I truly appreciate it. Not subscribe to the channel, hit that subscribe button. Turn on the bell notifications. Appreciate y'all. See you in the next one. Thank you.